If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made in this week. So let's waste no time. There's one tip this holiday season. If you're feeling lonely, down on your luck, find someone to spread the love with. There are many children in need, families in need, but love is the best gift, baby. I can guarantee it. Love, baby. Peace and happiness. Woo-wee! So let's get to it. Story number 1. What does banking have to do with economics or anything in life? Bank of America has reportedly joined other U.S. banks by refusing to finance oil and gas exploration. Now, in a story by MarketWatch, the details are in fine print that President Trump's goal was to set, I guess he wanted to capitalize on energy independence, but it appears that some big named banks got in the way. Now, in this story, it's clear that only time will tell what the future goal of reaching zero carbon emissions will eventually look like. Now, at the moment, the economic picture could be falling apart because a lot of people have their eye on saving a planet that they are blaming all of us for destroying. I think there's two sides to the coin inside of the story. Maybe it may be wise to listen to the oil and gas companies because I don't think people want to live in a cold house in the wintertime. So there's something happening in story number 1 when people want to save the planet and the future, and they may be forgetting about a common necessity that we all need to live. So story number 1 is just heating up, and that's why I made it in this week. It'll probably be bumped up. Story number 2, the real estate market under Joe Biden. What will it look like? Real estate investors are not happy with Joe Biden's housing plan. The plan to raise income taxes on individuals making over $400,000 a year could upend what is labeled the 1031 exchange, which according to Business Insider allows people to continue buying and selling real estate without paying the IRS a big chunk of money, included in the transaction. So the key to this story is the capital gains tax. And this tax is set by tax bracket, which could really affect realtors' pocketbooks. Now, because it will affect their savings eventually. Now, the losses to real estate investors inside of this story could amount to over $50 billion in over 5 years. That's a lot of money. Now, although not official yet, some say the current rules in place allow veterans, women, people of color like me, and those with minimal access to good banking and financial structures, it allowed them to make something out of nothing. So this story is a big this that's developing inside the real estate market, and I'm sure realtors are keeping their eye to see what Joe Biden does, and this is why this headline made it in this week. Story number 3: the government has some tough decisions to make under Biden. The list of decisions stem from abortion rights to federal dollars spent on vaccines to climate change. Either way, money will be lost and lives will be sacrificed. There's another story. A bipartisan group of senators also have to make some tough decisions on a coronavirus stimulus deal. Big headline. New developing stories are emerging about the motives involving the death of a key player in Iran's nuclear program, Mohsen Fakhrizade's death. This is he died. They're saying he died by a remote bomb. This is just another addition to new developing stories and the saga surrounding the death of key Iranian officials. This could be a pivotal story involving more unrest and relations in the Middle East. The biggest question is, why was he assassinated? The Iranian scientist was killed by a remote-controlled weapon, aka a remote bomb, like I said earlier in this report. So There's a lot going on, and whether it was a bullet or a bomb, it doesn't matter. These Iranian officials are dying, and this is not going to sit well in the Middle East. So let's pray and hope for peace. Now, Arizona is also seeing a spike in human smuggling as the border wall goes up. These are just some key talking points that will be debated under the Biden administration on what to do when we talk about not only just what's happening at the border in Iran, foreign affairs, but there's also some things that are circulating about student loans and diversity issues that keep popping up. So story number 3 is just not going away. It's going to be nagging at the coattail of every American. It's probably going to be debated on social media, and people are probably going to go to sleep wondering about what to say in the next debate every morning. So story number 3, big headline. That's why I made it this week. The government has some tough decisions to make under Joe Biden's administration and his time in office. Big headline. Story number 4, education and what we do with our degrees. People all over the world are fighting for an education, but the killer seems to be what we are doing in our spare time. One Fox News article homing in on what parents are doing to get their kids back in the classroom really highlights a real growing concern about how important education is in this new environment, this new age period. Kids are not only falling behind in math, but with less classroom time, some are also getting in trouble. The article also highlights a key talking point about online classes and how they may be tapping into some unknown gifts. We're seeing an increase in good reading grades along the way. Now, kids seem to be scoring high on reading comprehension, according to some reports. Now, shifting away from children, let's shift to college. College now is also in some of these headlines because it's good to note that many college students often find themselves outside of their field that they're studying. And when they get into the free world, they often find themselves inside of things that they did not study in college. So they're saying that most of them are starting to feel that they're wasting their time taking certain courses. Now, story number 4 highlights a key talking point inside of the education debate, which asks, is the investment in education worth it? So many are saying yes. Sometimes people say no, but there's a lot going on, especially when you're talking about equal pay inside of these stories. Now, one story says that college students do not feel that they're getting their money's worth in the new coronavirus education system. This could really cause more morale problems and could really shift people's outlook on investing in themselves. And let's hope some of these kids do not give up. One NPR headline reads that virtual charter schools are really taking off even after facing opposition because of their reputation. So keep an eye on story number 4, big headline that made it in this week, along with all of the other top 4 headlines that made it in. Well, I'll be right back, so don't go anywhere. I'll be right back with the top 4 international headlines that made it this week. Don't go anywhere. We'll take a quick break here on The Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
All aboard!
If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. And go to the website. It's method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it into this week. Whew, I'm getting my Christmas love on. I'm getting it on. I'm starting to feel it. Have a holly jolly Christmas. Oh, it's the time of year again. Don't spend too much money and show lots of love. That's all that's left at the end of the day. Whew. Let's get to it. Story number 5. Rudolph. Speaking in tongues, young lady. Story number 5. Has anything really changed when it comes to women and men? I'm only here to show love and entertain. Sometimes it can't all be sad. So has anything really changed when it comes to women and men? This is a big headline that made it this week. It made it up to number 5 because of the things that have been happening. A pregnant woman was found dead on Thanksgiving. Police are expecting foul play. Now, if we wind this back, now you see while I'm trying to welcome in some type of Holy Spirit this holiday season, the relatives of Alexis Shakely are they're not happy that their 26-year-old daughter was found dead in Houston. The People magazine article calls her an Instagram influencer, which could really distract people away from the fact that her body was found nude on the side of the road in Houston. Now, according to the report, the article also centers in on the woman's passion to be a model of some sort, while leading the reader to expect foul play. Now, what we can learn from this story is the new normal and an increase of stories involving disputes between men and women, which are very sad. It's almost like we're losing our sensitivity towards human nature and humankind. More people in Japan have died from suicide than COVID-19, period. And the majority of these people are women. They are women. Another story in the UK says that a woman lost her child after being kicked in her stomach by an iPhone thief. Now, this story is another story that's circulating, and lawyers are also blaming COVID-19 because of a rise in divorce cases. Story number 5 really shines a lot of light on the challenges that women and men are facing while in the fight to have a stable and balanced lifestyle. Many are losing their life, and some are even killing their mate due to infidelity. Keep an eye on story number 5. That's why I made it this week. Whew, scary story. Story number 6. How children are getting caught in the middle of a long underground war. One confusing story that I've been watching develop in the coming weeks not only deals with race, but it also deals with children, how they are being caught in a very old war waged in the civil rights era. In this developing story, you'll find multiple stories homing in on a developing trend of children being caught in the middle of domestic abuse cases, racial strife, coronavirus confusion, bad marriages, and even post-war era saga. So this story is not only involving missing children, but it's involving abuse to children going hungry, not even just in America, but all over the world. In this developing story, the heroes seem to be those brave enough to expose the facts for what they really are, and that's the fact that children are being caught in a lot of problems that are growing bigger and bigger. I think the song goes, I think the words are, in your palace, warm mighty king, do you know what I know? For a child shivers in the cold, let us bring him or her silver and gold. I think it's something like that, but that's why story number 6 is such a big headline. Inside of the holiday season, there's some meaning in those words. Keep an eye on story number 6. Story number 7 in the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Hospitals are overwhelmed, but is it because of COVID-19 or is it something more, much more? Now, due to shutdowns, some public health officials are being targeted, but there is more to this story. The new question now is what happens when you publicize a virus to be deadlier than what it really is. Now, for years, we've seen viruses pop up, come and go, but there are so many questions about COVID-19 that leave us blindsided. But one good question is it really that deadly? Now, even in this, in every story this year about COVID-19, the reports are clear that there are more people surviving than dying from the virus. So now that the cases are up, does this have anything to do with COVID-19 or is it just our perception of the hospital and how we're used to doing things in this new environment? Now, from our understanding of doctors, that role has changed over the years. Many people feel they have to go to emergency. So, and health professionals are saying that residents and just people are not listening to them. So, should we blame the media for the overreactions to COVID-19 causing increased hospital visits, or is it just the modern way that the medical process is set up? So, keep an eye on this story. Now, the growing roots in this story are planted in two deep facts, and those facts are: one is that the survival rate is higher than the death rate, and the other is that cases are rising, not declining. So there's two things battling inside the story that either makes this virus serious or not taking serious. This story is still developing, and that's why I made it to the top 2 this week, because COVID-19, the battle is not over yet. Big headline, big developing news story. Story number 8, and the top international headline and developing news story that made it this week. Why are the rich getting richer during COVID-19? Still getting rich. And the poor still getting poorer. Big headline. Now, inside of the COVID-19 saga, the rich have become even more wealthier. But is it really their fault? Now, that's the question on everyone's mind except for the people spending money. Now, perception is everything in the richest and wealthiest nation in the world, but a lot of people feel boxed into a cycle of debt and money problems that doesn't seem to be changing for them anytime soon. Now, in times of hardship, analysts often find that financial problems often cause more harm than good. But new voices are joining into this conversation, and a lot of fingers are pointing to the big number one fact inside of story number 8, that in all of this craziness, especially around the holiday season, and all the pain, the robbing, the stealing, the violence, that the wealthier have become even more wealthy. Big headline, and that's why I made it in this week. It's scary, but it makes you think. And at the end of the day, we ask ourselves, is it their fault? Well, those are our top 8 headlines and developing news stories that I made it this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out to do with the research. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets and the journalists that keep us informed. People on the front lines, you deserve all the credit. I'm just the media, the man in the middle. If you want to show us some support, it doesn't take much. All you have to do is visit our website, buy something, read something, click on something, or just sponsor a program. It does not take much. I don't ask for much. I come in here every week. I voluntarily do this just for you so you can stay informed, because not only do I care, but I like to give my time to something that's positive. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you are enjoying and getting ready for a great holiday season, a good holiday spending with family and friends. So stay tuned. I'll be right back next week with going through 200 or more stories just for you to keep you informed. So thank you so much for tuning to the Mediator this week with me, Brian West. Have a good week, everybody. Peace.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.